Hello my friends, my name is Tyler, and this is Game Life. Today we're going to be talking about small numbers. And what I mean by that is that we could either have really big numbers with a lot of digits, or we're going to have small numbers with only a couple of digits. Let's take a concept like health, HP. I have several different values here, and here's what these values are. So we'll have 40 out of 40, 100%, 4K out of 4K, and some ungodly number out of another equally unsightful number. The idea of having small numbers is that when you get to bigger numbers like this, it just doesn't work for people. Most people are going to look at this and just glaze right over it, starting from the 2 and ending at the 4. These aren't even actually the same number. These are two different numbers if you look closely. But at first glance, when you're playing a game trying to have fun, or it's an action game so you have to be quick, these kind of numbers aren't really useful. Maybe if you have a game where getting really high numbers is the whole point, or if you're doing some kind of simulation where every single last piece matters, in that case, maybe large numbers are a good thing. But I would say for most games, it's better to have smaller numbers, especially if your game isn't a computer game. If you have players actually calculating and keeping track of numbers by hand, they need to be simple. And I would say no more than 3, maybe 4 digits. If you do have something that's 4 digits, like in the case of this 4K out of 4K, if you're going to abbreviate that, that's an issue because now the player only sees one number. That's good. 1 digit is good to look at, but there's 3 digits that are hidden. In the case of 100%, most people are able to deal with 0 to 100% fairly well. And then when you have small numbers like 40 or 60, even 200, those are small enough that people can usually handle those as well. The 40 and the 100%, I would say those are okay for almost every single case in any kind of game you could imagine. At least most that would pop into my mind at first. And then the 4K, that has the issue of being ambiguous. You have 3 whole digits of value that are ambiguous, and one of those digits could account for a decent chunk of this, and it's not made immediately obvious to a player. That ambiguity means why not just have it 4 out of 4 and drop the thousands altogether? And then for this long number, this is just completely unreadable. You shouldn't expect anyone to read this once, let alone dozens of times. My solution for these would be just to keep the most valuable numbers. So for the 4K, maybe keep it as 4 or keep it as 40 and only have what would have been the thousands and the hundreds place. Just keep it as 40 and now you only have 2 digits to worry about. In most cases, if you were only to lose 1 health, that'd be 0.1% of your total health, possibly less. That's probably not a big deal in most games, so don't even worry about it. And then for this big old number, I would just keep it as 250 and drop all the rest of it. Adjust all of your values so that everything's in line. So if you had damages before that would do 500,000 damage, bring that down to doing only 50 damage. And that's just for health. I would say similar things go for any other type of value. Health is just an example. Let's do a fun little experiment. I'm going to show some dots on the screen, and I want you to keep track of how much time it's going to take you to say how many dots there are accurately. So if you want to grab a phone or a timer real quick, go ahead. And I'm going to show you the first dots now. There we go. Probably most of you said 3 instantly. It doesn't really take that long to see 3. Let's try round 2. Ready? Go. All right, that one's 4. Also pretty easy. Let's try round 3. Go. All right. This might take you a little while. Yeah, you probably didn't see that nearly as quickly as the other ones. Even if you were to count them one by one, it would take you a while and you might even need to recount. This is just a little example that we as humans can easily tell the difference between 2 or 3 or 4 things, but once it gets up to a higher number, we're only able to deal with ratios. I'm sure this is a fairly well understood concept in psychology. I'll see if I can get you a link for the description. The whole takeaway is that if we keep our numbers small, that makes them more readable and more meaningful. Each one has a greater percentage of the value. This is important because it gives our players clarity for their decisions, and decisions are one of the most important things in games. I hope this gave you something to think about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.